Are you waiting for the last one? Why? Now you've heard that before. Some of that's because you've heard that before. But what about the first person who heard that? Never heard it before. That has to be finished, does it not? It has to be finished. There's a tension there that has to be relieved. So listen to it get relieved. Yeah, that finished it. So what's that about? Let's talk about it. I believe it has to do with the 5 note in the scale. So let's do a little experimentation. And we're going to start with a circle. To keep things simple, we'll start with just the white keys. The key is C. Just the white keys on the piano. Keep it nice and clear. So we'll start with a C. This will be our root tone, or the 1. We'll come to know this as home. It'll be where tunes will start and end. And it'll be C. That'll be our 1. C chord. Now we could play Shaven Haircut 2 bits with just that. Pretty good. Now let's count up 5. C, D, E, F, G. G. Let's put the G in there. That'll be our 5 chord. Classicists called this chord, or this position in the scale, the dominant. Why is that? Well, I have a belief that it's because the 5 is actually already in the 1. And to demonstrate that, you know, when we hit a C note, C string, we hear the root tone, but we also hear the octave of that tone. The string not just vibrates from end to end, but also wavers in it, and so we have the octave of that tone too. Here with that, there's our C, there's our C octave. Those 2 notes, when I play them together, can't distinguish one from the other really. So the octave is the first harmonic of the tone. The second harmonic is the 5 above the octave. So that's the G. Let's go up to the G note. I'm going to play, that's the G note on the A string. That's the 5th note. Here's the C, D, E, F, G. Now if I play the root and that 5 at the same time, you could almost not hear it. If I accent that G, it has a different tone than if I just play them equally. Hear that? It almost disappears. Let's demonstrate that. Here's a visual representation of the root tone, and then a visual representation of the octave, and a visual representation of the 5 note that's already in the 1 note, the C. So you see that? And here's a representation of it. I took a program, put it on my computer, and I just played a C note all by itself, and it generated this chart. You notice there's 3 obvious high points. One is the highest one is the original tone, the C note. The second one is the octave, and the third one is the G note above the octave, the 5 above the octave. What makes instruments sound different? How come you know it's a violin playing a C note and not a piccolo? Well, because the harmonics vary. And these aren't the only harmonics. You can keep on going. There are other harmonics further up the scale. But which ones are strong and which ones are weak determines what the instrument sounds like. I just wanted to throw that in there so that you can understand why the 5 has this particular energy to it. So we got the 5 in there now, the G in the key of C, that would be the G. Let's do Shaven Haircut using just the 1 and the 5, or in this instance, the C and the G. Hear that? A little more interesting than just the C. Now, when I played that, did you hear the 5 come in there anyway? 5 chord is usually played as a 7th, you know. Instead of playing a G, play a G7. What happens with that is we wind up with a tension between 2 of the notes. So sounds like a French ambulance. That tension has to be resolved, and the only thing that will resolve it is going home to the one chord. Hear it resolve. That's where the circle of fifths really comes in. It relieves this tension of the G7 chord. So the dominant, the root, or the tonic, home, one. Now let's move on to the other chords. So let's count up from the C to the four chord. C, D, E, F. And let's put the F to the left of the C on the circle. And we'll put a 4 above it, and we'll give it a name. That's the subdominant. It's right below the dominant. It's the other most frequently used chord in the key of C. So there's that F chord, C chord, F chord, sometimes called the amen chord. Amen. That has some very little tension, but some people call it the amen chord, and I've heard it called the sunshine chord. It kind of opens up, kind of on the same level as the C chord. But if I go to the G7, that wants to go home, definitely. Right? So most musicians will call these three chords and say, this is a 3-chord song, 1, 4, 5. It's a 1, 4, 5 song. Notice something. The F is the 4 of C, but C is the 5 of F. Why? Well, because there's 8 notes in the scale, and if you go from C, D, E, F, that's only 4, but if I go F, G, A, B, C, that's 5. So one of the rules of the circle of fifths is the 5 is to the right and the 4 is to the left. So no matter what key you are in, for example, let's turn the circle here and put F at the top. Now we got F at the top, we got the C has become the 5 chord. What's going to be, there's got to be a 4 chord for the F. We'll get to that. Notice that the G moved over, it's no longer the 5. What is it? F, G, it's the 2 chord. As far as the F is concerned, it's the 2 chord. Now let's move it back. So I'm just trying to demonstrate that the circle of fifths works on every key. We're going to put more keys in there as time goes on here. But I just want to demonstrate to you real quick that just moving the F to the top, the C became the 5, and the G became the 2. Now let's move it back to the C. So the C is at the top. Back just to the white keys. Now we got a 2. There's nothing there to 2. Well, what's the 2 of C? Count up. C, D. So let's put a D there. That's our 2 chord. Now we've come to a situation here where it's very interesting. If we go from 2, 5, 1, let's do a little experiment here with shave and haircut. And we'll do, remember we started with just a C, shave and a haircut, 2 bits. Now we could do it with just G7 and C. Shave and a haircut, 2 bits. How about if we do it with the F, throw the 4 chord, shave and a haircut, 2 bits. What about if we use that D thing now, the D chord, that 2, work, shave and a haircut, 2 bits. Well, what happened there? We played 1, 4, 2, 5, 1. It shows up all the time. In fact, a lot of musicians, jazz musicians, they like to change keys in the middle of a song. And when they do, they'll go to the 2 as the key that they want to wind up in. That takes them to a new key. A lot of Hawaiian songs start off with what they call the pani. Country western songs. Hey, hey, good looking, what you got cooking? 2, 5, 1. A lot of songs do that. 2, 5, 1. You'll find it everywhere. That's the tail end of the circle of fifths. Now the question is, what comes in front of the 2, 5, 1? To answer that question, we need to know what the 5th is of D, at least in the key of C. What's the 5 of D? Well, D, E, F, G, A. So A is in front of D. So let's put that in there. You know, an A is also the 6th note in the key of C. And the 6th happens to have a special function in any key. The 6th is also the tone that defines the relative minor of So A minor, let's put A minor in here. A minor is a special chord that has to do with the C. An A minor scale, by the way, is exactly the same as the C scale, but it just starts on A and ends on A. So the circle of fifths has now grown to 4 root tones: A, D, G, and C. 6, 2, 5, 1. In many songs, there's one more chord, the 3 chord, which happens to be the 5 of the A. There's a special relationship between the 3 and the 6. The 3 leads to the 6. So in the key of C, C, D, E is the 3, which happens also to be the 5 of that A chord that we were just at, you know. A, B, C, D, E. So now we have 6 root tones: E, A, D, G, C. A lot of musicians will say this is a circle of fifths. One might say this song is 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. 1, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. Let's demonstrate what that is like. 1, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. You know this song like 5'2". It's a standard ukulele number. And we start with the C, and we're going to go to the E, and then we're going to go to A, and then we're going to go to the D, and then we're going to go to the G, and go right around the circle and follow along. Just play sevenths except for that C chord. Everything else is going to be E7. So let's do it real slow. 5'2", eyes are blue, but oh, what those 5 feet could do. Has anybody seen my gal? So what happens there? Well, we start off with the root tone in our home, our 1, and then we go to the 3, but we go to the 7th version of the 3, the flat 7, and it's got that tension. That E7 wants to resolve to an A note. Listen to it resolve. But we're not in the key of A. We're in the key of C, so we're not going to resolve it. We're going to take that E7 and we're going to go to that A. But the tension didn't go away. But that A, it wants to resolve to D. Listen to that tension. It wants to go to D, so let's resolve it. See? But we're not in the key of D. We're in the key of C. So there's that A, tension. We got the tension. Then we're going to go to D. But we didn't resolve it. We're going to do D7. We kept that tension. That tension, we're just going around the circle. This D wants to resolve the G. You want to hear it? Let me resolve the G. G. Hear it? But we're not doing that because we're not in the key of G. We're in the key of C. So we're going to go from D to G7. And now we can resolve it. We've gone from the 2 to the 5. And now we're going to go home. Did you hear that? All we did is we took that tension, we started on the E7, pushed it on the A7, we pushed it on the D7, onto the G7, onto the C. 1, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. E, A, D, G, C. That's the circle of fifths. The circle of fifths wants to drive your song. It drives the song. It makes it easier. 5'2", eyes are blue, but oh, what those 5 feet could do. Has anybody seen my gal? Tension went right around, came home. The song went home. There's a lot of songs. Please don't talk about me when I'm gone. Oh, honey, though our friendship ceases from now on. 1, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. There's the circle of fifths. Let's walk down. Here's the C, down to an A. So take a song like, walk right in, sit right down. See that? We walk down to that A. Walk right in, sit right down. That's the chromatic. Or just skip one. Whatever, to drop down to that A. And then take the circle of fifths to go home. Baby, let your mind roll on. D, G, C. Circle of fifths. Magic. Magic. We've been using the seventh dimension of the chords. E7, A7, D7, G7. But a jazz player may not want to go to E7. He may want to go to E9. 5 foot 2, eyes of blue. Oh, A9, those 5 we could do. D9, G9, C major 7. You might want to do something jazzy, but it's still a circle of fifths. That's the thing about the circle of fifths. If you're playing some kind of E, happen to be in the key of C or some other key, chances are really good it's going to be followed by an A of some sort. Might be an A minor, might be an A7, it might be an A9, it might be an A minor 6. Then that A is going to be followed by some kind of D. It could be a D minor 7, often is. You go to that G7 to go home. You see that a lot, and especially in Tin Pan Alley songs. D minor 7, D minor, G7, C. D minor 7, G7, C. Happens quite a bit. So let's continue to fill a circle now. The only tone left in the scale of C is the B, so let's put the B in there. And you know, in the key of C, the B is often played as a diminished chord. Sort of a natural thing. It's really, a diminished B is a whole lot like a G7, that 5 chord, but with an extra note. That diminished has a whole lot of tension. It's got all the tension of a G7 chord plus extra tension. Like that. It's everywhere. That tension is everywhere. That interval is everywhere in the diminished chord, which can be named, by the way, after any note in it. So this particular chord, it can be a B diminished because there's a B in it. It can be an F diminished because there's an F in it. It could be a D diminished because there's a D in it. And it could be a G sharp or A flat diminished because it's got that note in it. Now, that's all the white keys. Now let's go on with the first note that leaves the white key. What's the 5 of B? Well, we got to follow the scale of the B up, and it turns out that the 5 is going to be a G flat, or also known as an F sharp. So let's put that in. That note is known as a tritone. So listen to it. If I put that note in the scale, hear that? Ooh, the devil's note. Called the devil's note in the Middle Ages. The interval. That's the interval that gives the 7th chord its tension. Well, it's the first note to leave the white keys in key to C. That's called a tritone. Why? Because there's 3 full tones, 3 whole steps. In a normal scale, it goes 1 whole step, half step. But we're not doing that. We're going whole step, whole step, whole step, whole step, whole step, and we wind up with that note, the tritone. 3 whole steps. So listen to it again. Ooh. Okay. A lot of versions of the circle of fifths get very complicated. Not only do they have the root tones and perhaps the position numbers like our chart here has, and then the minors, but they'll also put in the key signatures. And let's put those in ourselves. Let them drop in. And you'll notice what's happening here. I've got on the 5 side, and on the right side, you have all these sharps. G has the first, the first sharp. D has two sharps, and so on down the line. The other side is all the flats. Standard keys are pretty much at the top of the chart and on the right-hand side. The horn keys are on the other side. That's just their curiosity. That's how the cards lay out. It's very cool. And if you can memorize that, you tackle a whole lot of musical theory just by understanding the circle of fifths.